This started. It's amazing to me. It's amazing to me how I have everything set up, and then when it's time to go live, everything goes haywire. Where am I? Where am I? Right here. We better get this started. Halo. Let's see if I can get this one set up over here. So I'm running on 2 platforms now. Right now. Eventually I'll be able to do it on more. But right now I'm just on 2 platforms, TikTok and YouTube. So I'm so glad to be here with you guys. Now I just had this one set up, and for whatever reason it goes haywire whenever I start it. Let me see here. One day I'm gonna be so smooth with this. It's gonna be so smooth. All right. So I got to get my effects set up here. For whatever reason, I come into TikTok and I have everything set up, and then I press play, and then TikTok goes haywire. Let me say hello to my TikTok peoples. Hello, welcome, and welcome. Yours truly, Diva Laree, with the UNA University and UNARepublic. Welcome. I am sporting my whole halo today. Why? Because I don't have a choice. You in Chicago, and the wind is going to molest you. The rain is going to molest you. So the afro's got to come out. All right. So I'm doing the afro today. Welcome, everybody. I want to thank you for joining. We're going over today what's going on in the spring season for UNA University and UNARepublic. We've got a beautiful session coming up. We coming off of a beautiful season, winter 2023, going into spring 2023 for the UNA University. I want to say welcome, halo. We're going to go into today what's coming up for spring season for UNA University. Let's get on it now. Okay, so first of all, you all know we have back to basics. Back to basics. We're going to kick everything off on the 16th of April. That's going to be on a Sunday, all right? So for those of y'all who don't know, our seasons are 8-week seasons, all right? We have seasons, spring, summer, fall, winter, just like the regular seasons. And in those seasons, we have 8-week sessions, all right? So our 8-week session, our first one, we're going to kick it off on April 16th, 2023, and that's going to be dealing with back to basics. This is one of our main courses. This is one of our most requested seminars, back to basics. This is one of our most important seminars, back to basics. This is where you learn to put yourself under trust. You're going to learn how to get yourself under trust. All right, understand what it is, what documents you file, where you file them, why you're filing them, and how to stand on everything you create. That's what's so important. We have a lot of people who've come to us and they'll say, hey, somebody filed my papers for me, but I'm still not free. Well, you got to understand what the documents are. You can have the most powerful weapon in the world, but if you don't know how to use it, it cannot work for you. So we want to make sure we bring you into the university. You're going to learn what a trust is. I need y'all to understand something about UNA. All right. What you're looking at here, I am a civil supreme. Civil meaning knowledge of the law. Supreme meaning highest knowledge of the law. What we learn in UNA University, judges don't know. Lawyers don't know, and even if they did know, they couldn't tell you, otherwise they'd be disbarred. Accountants don't know. Tax professionals don't know. So I'm letting you know, when you come into the university, you're getting access to a lot of powerful information. So we want to invite you in to enroll, all right? We want to invite you, go to unauniversity.com so that you can enroll and come in this session and learn these things that these people are supposed to know, but they were never taught, all right? All right, these are things that the elite know. You want to come into the university so we can teach you what's going on. All right, so back to basics. That's that one where you're learning trust. That's the most important tool that we're putting into the system, learning how to stand under trust. All right, now that's going to be on Sundays, and that's going to run for 8 weeks starting April 16th. Our next session is called, this is most important, history and self-mastery. History and self-mastery. Listen up. When we're talking about history, a lot of people don't understand why laws are the way they are because they don't know the history. Once you know the history, then everything starts to become clear. You start to become clear about who the police are, who the so-called federal government is, who the so-called state government, because y'all don't understand. We got about 5 different governments running on top of each other. You got to know who's who, and you got to know what the hierarchy is. All right, that's the history of it. We're going into that. Who's who? Because a lot of people are not familiar with, well, what's the European? We've been told that the European are these Albion people, so-called white. No, the original Europeans were melanated people. And we need to go into that and understand who's who and what's really going on in history. So we're going to go into that in history and self-mastery. And then you notice the second part is self-mastery, but this is really the most difficult and most important part, self-mastery. Listen up. And we're going to go through this today. But when you learn how to master self, then the government has to disappear. I'm going to say this again. When you learn how to master self, then the government has to disappear because you are self-governed. And also, you're going to start learning just how important your mindset is into developing the third dimension that you want to see, your heaven on earth. This is that class. Developing your heaven right here on earth. History and self-mastery. We're going into it. So you want to go to UNA University and enroll in that class. So that class is going to be on Mondays from 7 to 9 p.m. Eastern. And once again, it's going to be an 8-week session. All right, so we're going out 8 weeks so you can learn how to master self. All right, our third session is an intermediate session, and that is called Business Asset Management, where you're learning how to develop your umbrella corporation and operate everything else underneath your umbrella corporation. So your umbrella corporation becomes your nation with its own set of jurisdictions. So now what you're learning how to do is to put your house under trust, your car, your children, your business, and everything else under trust, such that you're operating under that particular jurisdiction. All right, so this is very important in learning law and how to operate and walk in this whole game that's set up around us. All right, so now let's go through this again. Business asset management. By the way, before I go into that, Wednesdays, this session, business asset management, is on Wednesdays from 7 to 9 p.m. Eastern, and that's going to start on the 19th. And from there, it's going to run 8 weeks every Wednesday. All right. So let me run through this again. Back to basics. That's going to be on Sundays from 3 to 5 p.m. Eastern. It's going to run 8 weeks out. So starting on the 16th of April, y'all get ready. Next session, Mondays. That's going to be our history and self-mastery course. That's going to run out 8 weeks. All right. Get ready. Wednesdays are our business asset management course. Once again, it runs out 8 weeks. I want y'all to go to UNARepublic.com, UNARepublic.com, and click on that link to enroll, or you can leave a message in the inbox for my people in TikTok, for my people in YouTube. Go to UNARepublic.com and enroll so we can get you into the seminar. All right, I want y'all to know I love you, I appreciate you, and I look forward to you all in class. Let's do this. UNA University, UNARepublic. We got a great spring 2023 coming up for you. Diva, I love you. All right, so now let's get into this. I was doing that session for my intro. All right, now let's get into this, people. Now, I want to welcome everybody in. Zodiac, Kilroy, Philip Smith. We got a lot of exciting things going on this season. And I'm going to go into them, what they are today. First of all, I want y'all to know we have our new ebook out. So if you're interested in this ebook, you can go online. So there's an ebook, and there is the you can get it in the physical version. This is a physical version, or you can get it in the ebook format. All right, the digital format. So let me go through what this book is. In this book, this is an overview. It's called the Beginner Law Book. All right, UNA Beginner Law Book, and this has a lot of the charts and things that we deal with when we're going through law. All right, because a lot of people ask, well, what law do you deal with? All laws, especially universal laws. And so in this book, it goes into helping you understand our most important chart, which is the hierarchy of law chart. All right. Of course, there's a table of contents, and it goes through. Here's our hierarchy of law chart here. This is our universal law chart. These are two very important charts. It goes through just helping you to understand what they are about, how to use them in your life. This has the full set of maxims of law that UNA University deals with. This has a full set of, it goes through contract law and contract writing as well. So this is a great book. The other thing, if you purchase our actual book, the physical book, we're going to give you also these copies here so that you can paste them. These are laminated. All right, so these are our laminated copies. You're going to get the universal law chart. You're going to get the hierarchy of law chart and the vibratory frequency chart. These are very important. You need to put these up all on your refrigerator, on your mirror in your bathroom. These are very important charts. All right, this helps you understand what's going on. So once again, the ebook, you can go once again to UNAUniversity.com. You can purchase this. It is $14.99 for the ebook. If you want the physical book, it's $29.99. All right, and it's a great buy. This is our UNA University book publication, so you can get that on UNAUniversity.com. All right, so this is what I want to get into today, so that I can just bring some insight on some of the things. Our required seminars I spoke about this session, coming up this season, is going to be history and self-mastery. Now, I want to go into a little bit about this self-mastery and some things that we haven't been taught and why it's important. Now, I've spoken about this before here, where I speak about who we are as spiritual beings. And we're going to really dive deep into that this season, because we're going to be dealing with walking in the fourth, fifth, and sixth dimension. We're going to be dealing with walking in the fourth, fifth, and sixth dimension. You'll notice you don't hear people saying, hey, we're going to the fourth dimension. And let me rephrase this, because actually we're walking in the fifth, sixth, and seventh dimension. And I need to go through that. I won't go through it today, but I'm going to just give you an understanding about the spiritual side of this game. We're walking in the fifth, sixth, and seventh dimension. And we're going to understand what really that means. All right. You don't hear people saying, oh, we're going into the fourth dimension. That's a dimension where spiritual entities live and are trapped. When you're in the seminar, then I can go deeper into that. But those are some spiritual entities that speak to us. And a lot of us now are tuned in so that we can hear them. Now we're going into a situation where you're learning how to control your third dimension. All right, what we see as a third dimension. Okay, we're going to understand what this third dimension really is. So, but before I go into that, because I'm just letting you know that's where this thing takes you in learning how to walk in those dimensions. Before I go into that, I want to make sure we understand who we are as spiritual entities, all right? That we haven't been taught. We should have been told this. So one of the things we have to recognize is that as spiritual entities, we've been here before. We don't die. Your vessel expires, and then you return in a new vessel. All right, it's important to recognize that and understand what's going on in these things that we haven't been told. So a lot of times you'll hear people see a baby and they'll say, "Oh, that baby got that's an old spirit." All spirits coming in here, they're old. And they carry with them a cosmic baggage. This is what we have to understand and what we're not being told. When you're looking at a child is nothing more than an old spirit coming back into a new vessel. You are a spirit that was here before. You contracted to get here through your mother. You had to contract through your mother to get here. So a lot of people are thinking, for example, that children that come in and they're innocent. No, they're not. This is why the Bible was telling you we're all born of sin. Well, why is that? And I know a lot of people don't want to think that, no, it's a baby, and no, it's not. It's innocent, and that's not the case. We all have a cosmic baggage when we come into here, and it's important that we recognize that. Who we are as spiritual entities, that we come in here, first of all, to learn a lesson. There are energies that we have put out in the past time. We come back in here because there is a lesson that we are supposed to learn when we get here. The question is, did you learn the lesson? Because if you don't learn the lesson, you're going to keep cycling back. If you want to go on to the new destination and get to that next point, then you better get the lesson. And the problem is that because there are laws that we don't understand that are going on in this dimension, we don't ever get the lesson. Well, I'm just here to just give you some information and some insight on these laws that have been hidden from us. Now, it's up to you if you want to know what's really going on. If you do, good. I'm here to give you that insight. If you don't, then I understand and I respect that, because to some people, they are truly not ready for this information. I'm not talking to you. But for those of you all who are very aware that you are a spiritual entity and that you have been here before and that you're ready to move to the next level and stop cycling back because of the fact that you have a lack of information, I'm talking to you. All right. So let's get into this and understand who we are as spiritual entities. And if you have any questions or comments in YouTube, in TikTok, please leave your comments so that I can please answer your questions. And Lefty, thank you for your comment. Please make it clear please expound on your comments so that we can get to it, because I want to hear what you have to say. Brian, thank you for the love, but no thanks. Antoine Moore, thank you for joining. Ruler Royalty, Monique, Woogie, Angel says, okay, thank you. Angel says, how do I get the book? Yeah, you can find that book at UNARepublic.com. And Lefty, thank you for your comment, please. Okay, so what exactly do you not understand, Lefty? If you don't understand, this might be too advanced for you, Lefty, and then you might have to go to some other room. But for my people who are intelligent enough to understand what I'm saying, I want you to stay tuned. Lefty, Which point do you think I haven't made yet? Thank you, my flower, for joining. All right, so now let me move on to this because I want to make sure that my intelligent people who are viewing can follow what I'm saying. So, as we're and by the way, for my people who are aware and awake, thank you for joining me because this is for you. There are some people who are not intelligent enough to get this information, and so it's going to sound like gibberish to them. But for you intelligent people who really have an understanding and an idea and you've been studying, I'm just here to provide some additional information to you. And if this sounds like gibberish, then that means you're not intelligent enough to grasp these points. So I'm going to invite you to go to another room. Now, let me continue. As I was saying, when you see people who pass or what have you, we've got to recognize that there is no such thing. It's not that they died. Their vessel expires. But as a spiritual entity, you do not die. You've always been, you always will be. And all of us have had all kinds of, and I'm going to say this because I'm assuming that you are a typical human that comes from another human being. If that is what you are, then you have had spiritual experiences before, whereby you have had a dream, for example. You've never been to this place, but in your dream, you have this vivid dream of whatever this place is, and then within a week or 2 weeks, you actually visit that place in person. That's your spirit traveling without the vessel. Some of you have had visions where you have seen outside of your body or traveled outside of your body. Some of you all astral travel even in your sleep. Thank you, Antoine. So that is what we're talking about when we're dealing with who we are as spiritual entities. So now, one of the things we have to continue to recognize is that there are things that are hidden from us. And if you're not recognizing the laws, and by the way, I'm going to encourage all of y'all to go to UNARepublic.com/docs. UNARepublic.com/docs. D as in David, O as in Oscar, C as in Charlie, S as in Sam, all lowercase. And you can download the universal laws. Those laws are very important in understanding what's going on in this dimension. So now, getting back to who we are as spiritual entities, all right? When you pass, if you have not learned the lessons that you are supposed to learn here in this dimension, you will recycle back until you get it. You will recycle back until you get it. And so the thing is that as we continue, let me do this real quick. One moment. Let's see. Because I don't normally have hecklers, but I'm going to say bye-bye to somebody. All right. So now, thank you, Tommy, for joining us. Irvin, thank you for joining us. Dina, Derek, Power, Antoine. All right, so let me continue. Now, and I want you all to ask questions, my intelligent people. Thank you for joining. I want you to please ask questions so that we can have this conversation. And Scott, thank you for the rose. Now, getting back into this. When I first started recognizing this whole third dimension and what's going on, I had to have some counseling, and I had to have some guidance. And as I was speaking on is about who we are as spiritual entities, and when we deal with the universal laws, and I'm going to go through those today because I got time today. I'm going to go through the universal laws today. But one of the things that I spoke on earlier is that there are no victims. There are no victims. And a lot of times when I say this, and I start making it clear that a child is an old spirit coming back in a new vessel, I'll get this question. Well, what about the child? When I say no victims, what about the child rapes and the child abuse and all of this? Let's understand that we create this dimension. You were creating it before you were born. I'm going to say it again. We create our third dimensions. You were creating it before you were born. All right, you were creating it before you were born. And again, I say, you had to contract with your mother before you got here. When you start going back, you have people who get hypnotized and they go back into their history and their ancient times before this birth. What they find a lot of times is that, their wife or their mother or their brother or whomever's in their life, they played different roles with them in the past. They played, like, for example, a woman goes back and she gets hypnotized and she goes back into her past, finds out her husband actually shot her. he was a best friend, or they were friends, and he shot her in a past life. They had a different relationship in a past life. So what I'm saying to you is, the people who are closest to you, they played another role with you in your past life, and you contract with them, your mother namely, to get back into this dimension. All right. So I know, as far-fetched as that might seem to some of you, those of you all who have studied, you understand this information. Pay attention, because it gets deep. All right. Now, continuing on, as we go into this thing where we're wanting to learn how to walk in the 5th, 6th, and 7th dimension, you have to know these underlying laws before you get to that level, because of the simple fact that when you start to move up to that higher level, you have to recognize that every energy that comes to you in this dimension has everything to do with the energies you put out at another point in time. All right, so let me say it again. As we move forward into this newer dimensions, 5th, 6th, 7th dimension, it deals with the energies you put out in a past lifetime. Let me say something, and I hope you all are following me and understanding what I'm saying. All right. As a spiritual entity, again, what you have to recognize is that your every action is returning to you. That's part of the universal laws. Every action you put out must come back. If you put out kindness, it must come back. If you put out anything else, it must come back. Some of you all, I'm going to give you an example. If you've ever given money to someone, it might be on the side of the road, it might be somebody at the gas station, it might be you did something kind for this person or that person. Notice how it came back to you many times over. If you gave $5, you got 15, 20, 25 at another time. It might be 2 days later, it might be 7 days, 10 days. Normally within 10 days, it's coming back. Just look, everything is like a wave, because everything can be represented by a sound wave or a light wave. Everything can be represented by some kind of wave. So if you put out an energy, the wave is going to hit you, and normally it's within 10 days. So if you put out $5 over here, you're going to get 25 normally within 10 days. But that's not the full gist of the waves. So it's hard to explain. That's why I bring you in class and we go through all of these visual aids so that you can understand what's really going on. But when you put that energy out, the universe by law is going to return it to you many times over. Now, I want to say this because we go through the laws, and I want y'all to understand that the Bible is a set of laws. The Bible is a set of laws, and you will read in the Bible where when you put an energy out, it's returned to you many times over in multiples. That's a universal principle. The universal laws are throughout the Bible. Now, some of you all have this disdain for the Bible. You don't care for the Bible, and I understand. I really do. However, what I will encourage you to do is at least read the book. Do not just be listening to people out here in all of their ignorance and no clue about what's going on in that book. Read the book for yourself, because there are laws in there that when you understand the importance of them, you can use the book as a tool. I'm not telling you what to believe. I'm not telling you to believe in God. I'm not telling you not to. What I'm telling you is that there are laws concerning this third dimension. And the more you know about those laws, the better you will be able to create your heaven or whatever you desire in this third dimension. That's what I'm saying. I don't tell you what to believe, but I'm letting you know that there are laws. And the more you know about them, the better you can maneuver in this game. All right. The other thing that I need to let you know is that getting back to the spiritual side of who we are, you are a walking set of laws. Your skin color, your height, your eye color, your hair texture, everything about you, whether you have 2 arms or 1 arm or 2 legs or 1 leg, everything about you is a contract. And it's telling about an energy that you put out in another point in time. My vessel is a contract that tells about energies that were put out in a previous lifetime. So when we start to recognize that everything is an energy, my skin color is an energy. My hair texture, my eye color, my eyelashes, everything, my height is an energy. It is a contract. And it tells what went on in a previous lifetime. That's how understanding these laws and what's going on, that's how powerful it is. All right, let me take some comments, because I do want to see what you're saying before I go on into the next thing. Scott asks, what is the topic? The topic, right now the topic, Scott, is who are we as spiritual entities? Who are we? Who are you? All right, that's what the topic is. Chillin says, and timing. What about timing, Chillin? Amethyst, is that regeneration? Yes, Amethyst. When we pass, again, your spiritual essence never dies. All right, some of us are recognizing that we've been here before. Some of us as children recognize that there were things that were embedded in us that we knew not to do. Even though we are new back in this vessel, there's something in us spiritually that guided us into not doing certain things, or that guided our whole spiritual energy, that guided who we are as personalities. All right. And that had to do with who we were before we came in here. So with that is regeneration or reincarnation. The spiritual essence of you never dies. It only returns so that you can get the lesson that you came here to get in the first place. All right. Sammy says, and in my former body, I had no friends because I didn't have any former bodies. Okay. Antoine says, facts. Thank you, Antoine. Spiritually guided says, yes. Chillin says, thank you. All right. But let me continue. I spoke about one of the universal laws, which says there are no victims. And that is a really big one. And a lot of people have a hard time getting past that one, because of the simple fact that when someone comes at us with a bad energy, we take it as though, oh, that's just a bad person, or this person is just an ignorant person, or what have you. And we don't recognize that they are really our reflection. That's one of the universal principles as well. Everybody is your reflection. So especially, let's say it's your child. Your child is your twin, especially women. Women, your child is your twin. So I go in when we go into the history and self mastery. We're going to go into some of the molecular side of who we are as physical beings. There's that physical side of you, which is the flesh, and then there's a spiritual side of you. All right. On a physical level, women, in your ovaries, those are your twins. Literally. Those are your twins. They broke off from you when you were being created in your mother's womb. Those are your twins. And so when your children are born, you give birth to your past and your future at the same time. I'm going to say this again. When your children are born, you give birth to your past and your future at the same time. And so you want to recognize that. And you can see this. Pay attention to the things that your children get into that you got into as a child. They're going to do nothing but reflect you and everything you did as a child. So when you really start recognizing what's going on from a molecular level, from a spiritual level, you need to recognize that everybody is a reflection of you, not just your children. But if you want to see it up close and personal, look at your children. Look at how they react and the things they get into and compare it to what happened in your childhood. It'll be the same thing because they are your mirror. They are your twins. They are your past and they are your future. So, with that being said, everybody who comes into your third dimension are there because you brought them there. They are your reflection, the same as your children are. And so whatever energy they're giving you because of energies you put out. And it's important to recognize that law which states there are no victims, because especially the people who are in my classes, you can come into some serious power. And I mean serious power to the point where you can really do damage to some people. And if you don't have a good understanding of the fact that these people who are in your third dimension are only reflecting you, you're going to hurt somebody. And when you hurt somebody else, you are hurting yourself, because once again, if you put out an energy, the universe is only going to balance it. That's all the universe does. You put out an energy over here, you better balance it, because if you don't, the universe is going to do it for you. So the reason why it's important to recognize and understand these universal laws is because of the power that's coming to all of us. But especially the people who are in my university, you are learning elite knowledge. And if you don't have a good grasp or understanding of the fact that the people who are in your dimension and in your face are your reflection, and you decide you want to do something and use some of these powers you coming into and hurt them, you will only hurt yourself. You will destroy yourself trying to destroy them. Now see, we go into the history of this planet and we understand that there were some beings that tried to do harm to another group of people, another group of beings, and in doing so, they destroyed themselves. This is why it's important to understand history and self-mastery. I'm just going over, once again, those of y'all who are just joining, UNARepublic.com. Feel free to visit us there, and you're going to be able to get a better understanding of what our seminars are. You can go there and enroll. My people in YouTube, UNARepublic.com, you can go there and enroll and become a part of the UNA University, because I tell you what, we got some really serious information that's going on in these sessions. For those of you all who don't know, in UNA University, you're learning things judges don't know, lawyers don't know, accountants don't know, tax professionals don't know. These are powerful tools and powerful information. But the most powerful thing is knowledge of self. And that's why I'm going over this information about who we are as spiritual beings. Let me see if I have any other questions. Derek, how are you? I do speak to you today. What's going on? You got a question? Home because of abuse. I'm not sure if I understand your question, Derek. Help me out. Help me out, Derek. What is your question? What is your comment? But I do speak to you today. Watch this. All right. Before I continue, I want y'all to know we have the UNA University Law Book, Beginner Law Book. This is an ebook format, right? You can get this from UNARepublic.com. All right. With this, if you get the physical, this is $29.99, and with it is going to come the Universal Law Chart, the Hierarchy of Law Chart, which is very important, and the Vibratory Frequency Chart. All right. So it's going to come with those. Now, they are in the book as well, but we're also sending you laminated copies along with that. Now, if you want to get the ebook is $14.99. And once again, you can get that on UNAUniversity.com. All right, UNAUniversity.com. Okay. Now, and Derek says, no question, but just as you said, twin, you are correct. Thank you, Derek. Spiritually Guided says, is it in the bio? Yes, it is in the bio, Spiritually Guided guide. And once again, I want y'all to, if y'all have any comments or questions, I want to hear them. I want to have this discussion because a lot of people find this information difficult to take, and that's fine. That means that they're not spiritually advanced enough to hear this, and that's okay. This is not for them, but for those of y'all who are, and you're wanting to really start walking in what we say that fifth, sixth, and seventh dimension, and we go into that in detail, what that is, how we're walking that, and why. Okay, first of all, when we're talking about this first, second, third dimension, we're talking about this physical stuff around us. Now, the issue is that we haven't been taught that really everything you see, feel, and touch, that's not really the real world. Everything you see, feel, and touch, that's not really the real world. And as a matter of fact, you have the ability to manipulate your third dimension, but you've got to get into a higher mindset so you can be walking in the fifth, sixth, and seventh dimension. Well, what does that mean? Then we start talking about the fifth dimension. That's when, with your actions, where you are in full control of your actions. Because remember, whatever action you put out must come back. So when you're in control of your actions, then you can be in control of what is coming back to you from an energy standpoint. All right. Sixth dimension. Well, now you're in control of your energies. What we're talking about here, your vibratory frequency. When you're in control of you, and by the way, you can go to UNARepublic.com/docs, DOCS, and you should be able to pull down this vibratory frequency chart. Definitely, we have the universal laws and the hierarchy of laws. But this right here, for my TikTok people, vibratory frequency chart. Let me see if I can pull it back so you can see it. All right. But this vibratory frequency chart, when you start learning how to operate up here in this dimension, this when you controlling that sixth dimension, your frequency, how you feel. All of this plays a role in what's showing up in your third dimension. When you control how you feel up here, where you operating up here in these love and peace up here, enlightenment. This is when you're able to start controlling what's showing up in your third dimension. All right? And that's when you're dealing with your sixth dimension. Seventh dimension, what are we talking about? Your thoughts, your beliefs. See, we don't even like to use the term beliefs. We're talking about what you know. What you know. When somebody's telling you, for example, telling this person, you've got 2 weeks to live. Well, when you buy into that, then that's what it will be. That's what it will be. And you can talk to any nurse, any doctor, and they will tell you that when someone's given a diagnosis of death, the ones who survive are the ones who know that the doctor don't know what the ham sandwich they're talking about. They'll tell you that 90% of the people who have it in their mindset that, no, I'm going to survive this. No, I'm going to keep living. 90%. Because in their minds, they know, nah, the doctor ain't in control of this. God is in control of this. Or whomever it is, the universe is in control of this. The spirits got me on this. Those who have the different mindset, who know. See, I'm saying belief because that's what most people recognize. But no, we're talking about know. You have the knowledge that whatever your thoughts are, that is what it will be. 5th, 6th, 7th dimension. That's what we're talking about walking in. Because when you have control of those dimensions, this is when you have control of this 3rd dimension. When you have control of your actions, your energies, and your beliefs, you have control of what shows up in this 3rd dimension. So with that being said, how do you keep those that stop your high vibration away from you? Thank you, Sam, for that question. JSPH says, mindset is key, mind over matter. That's absolutely correct. Sam, let's start here. One of the things that you'll hear people talk about a lot is love. And people think that love has to do with pain and giving up on your dreams and all this negativity. That's not what love has to do with. Love has to do with loving yourself. Sometimes, really, love means saying, I just don't give a damn. Love means telling somebody who is in your life bringing you drama, I just don't give a damn, and walking away. It doesn't mean pain and suffering. That is not love. That is, somebody tell you that, they lying to you. If there's somebody in your space who is causing you to be unbalanced, to be angry, to be frustrated, to be sad, you need to learn to walk away from them. Period. And it starts with you changing yourself. Here it is. Let's go back to love. Love is when you love yourself enough to say, I will not allow drama in my life. That's love. When you love yourself enough to say, no, I want peace. And that's what I'm going to have at all costs. And when you start changing yourself and you have that type of mindset, Sam, watch how the other people just disappear. They're going to disappear. Look, you notice in this time, 2022, 2021, 2022, a lot of people were falling off. A lot of people were falling off. This is a time of love right now. This is a time of higher vibratory frequencies right now. And the fact that you're able to even sit here and ask that question lets me know that you're ready to start vibrating on another level. This is a time of higher vibratory frequencies. And if anybody who's not vibrating at that level, they're going to drop off. They cannot exist in this higher vibratory frequency. Now, if that, I've lost quite a few family members, quite a few people who were close to me. Loved them. But again, this is that time for higher vibratory frequencies. And if you are not in that frequency, you are going to drop off. And let me rephrase that. If someone is not, I don't want to say you, if someone is not in a higher vibratory frequency, they are not going to find themselves in this dimension. And so when you change yourself and you start vibrating higher, watch people start disappearing. Don't get upset and don't get alarmed. Just keep your frequency right. And the people who are supposed to be around you, they're going to show up. The people who are supposed to be in your life and vibrating with you and helping you build, they're going to show up. So let me talk about the people who show up in my life. The people who, and the Spirit sent me these words, these terms, because these are the people who are showing up for me. All right. K, kindness. C, for compassion. People who have compassion for others and understand what they're going through. L, for love. People who have love for themselves. And when you have self-love, you're going to find enough love for everybody else. Honesty. Very important to me. If you're not honest, if you think that you can just do whatever you want to do and be harmful to people, be dishonest, tell people things that you would do and you know you can't do it. Honesty. You gotta have honesty. Integrity. What do you do when you think no one is watching? R, for respect for other people. Respect. Even if you think, oh, this person is not on my level, you still have a respect for them because you know that they are your reflection. Kindness, compassion, love, honesty, integrity, respect. When you speak those things, those are the people who are going to start showing up in your circle. And when you have that for yourself, those are the only people that you can draw to you. So those people who are in your life, Sam, that are causing you havoc, they are reflecting you. Start reflecting love. Start respecting kindness, compassion, honesty, integrity, and respect. And watch those other people disappear. My Hair Shop for Locks. Thank you for joining. Thank you, JC. JC says, I'm speaking the truth. Thank you. I appreciate the love. Peace, My Hair Shop for Locks. Antoine. Thank you. Antoine says, I see you. Thank you, Antoine. I see you. I want y'all to give me comments because I do want to have this conversation. As I continue, you all remember, we're talking about UNA University and how we're starting back up on the 16th. If you're interested in enrolling, please go to UNARepublic.com. UNARepublic.com, or you can get it in the bio. You'll find all of our links in the bio. And we want you to become a either a member or enroll. Also, don't forget, we do have the UNA law book. All right, this is our beginner's law book. And if you get this version, which is the actual physical version, you're going to be able to get these wonderful charts. We're going to send you, the charts are in the book, but we're also going to send you laminated copies of them. So you can put them on your mirrors, put them on your refrigerator and everything else. So this is the hierarchy of law chart. This is very important. This chart here, all these charts are important. That's why we're giving them to you. This is the universal law chart. And then the vibratory frequency chart. All of these are in the book, but we're also sending you a laminated copy of these. So this is $29.99 for the physical copy. If you want to get the ebook, it's $14.99. They are well worth it. We went over our sessions for this season coming up, spring 2023, kicking it off on the 16th of April for spring season. All right, so you can go to UNARepublic.com. Back to basics, business asset management, and history and self-mastery. All right, UNARepublic.com. Now, let's get into this. My Hair Shop for Locks is one of our students, and she says she's excited. I'm excited. I'm excited about that session because we got a lot of powerful information to go through. All right, now, Lil Honey says, what, Lil? Give me more, expound on what questions you have. Let me go back into the spiritual side. We were talking about walking in the 5th, 6th, and 7th dimension. Once again, learning how to control your actions, learning how to control your frequency, and learning how to control your beliefs. Really, it's not about beliefs, it's about what you know. You being able to say, it is, and then know that it shall be. That's very important. All right. So now, I want to go back into this whole understanding and recognizing that what a child is. A child is an old spirit coming back in a new vessel. When I spoke about I spoke about how there are no victims, and whenever I say that, when I say there are no victims, there are no victims. Not the battered woman, not the picked on child, not the abused child. No, nobody. There are no victims. And the reason why it's important to recognize what's going on in this third dimension and that everything is just an energy is because when you come out of the victim state, then you start to learn to control what's going on in your third dimension. Now let's talk about a battered woman, for example. You got a woman here, and a lot of you all have dealt with battered women. A lot of you have seen battered women. Some of you all have gone out of your way, brought the battered woman into your house, and girl, I'm gonna take care of you, and whatever you need, I'm gonna give you some money. And what happens in the next couple of days or weeks? Where somebody answer that in the comment section down here. Darnell, J Darnell, thank you for joining. Answer in the comment section. What happened when you dealt with a battered woman? Somebody. It's just me. It's not just me. I'm not the only one. Thank you, My Flowers. Not only will she go back, she gonna have him up at your house, knocking on your door. You try to help her. There is nothing you can do. You can kidnap her. She's gonna still find her way back. The deal is that he is a reflection of her. Whether she's reflecting him in this lifetime from something or in a past lifetime, he is her reflection. Once she says she loves herself so much that she will not allow this kind of energy in her life, then he's got to go away. He can't be there unless she is allowing it. She's not a victim. She is allowing him to be there in her face. Once she recognizes a self-love, he's got to go away. Period. Rock says you become that woman. I'm not sure what that means. But, when you have self-love, then you don't allow this kind of energy in your life. So when you see people who are, I hate my job, and I hate this, and I can't stand that, and my house is this, and my house is that, all of that is a reflection of them. Everything in their third dimension is only reflecting them. It's important that we get this because, once again, if you're wanting to change what's going on in this third dimension, you got to change it by walking on a different frequency. That fifth, sixth, seventh dimension, your actions, your frequency, and your thoughts or beliefs. You change those, all this out here changes. Everything changes. All right? So that's the battered woman. Somebody give me another example of somebody who you think is a victim. Oh, the black people is the victim of the white man, and the white man. Okay, well, let's go into that. Let me go into that. I need to get something to drink, first of all. Let's go into melanated people. This is why we have to go into history. I know that everybody wants to say, oh, we as black people got to come together. We as black people. I'm not giving you separatism. What I'm going to give you are the facts. All right, here are the facts. When y'all start talking about we and them and they and us, I need y'all to understand. First of all, them, the Albions, the so-called white people, they're not white. We go through that in law and understanding they're not white. And melanated people, y'all need to stop calling yourself black. All right? I need y'all to understand something. When y'all are thinking it's them against us, that is somebody playing a game on you. And y'all better pay attention, because I know this is a deep subject. Y'all want to think that the Albion is totally against you and they all out to hurt you and they all racist. And let's understand this. We have all had our mind played games on, all of us. Albions, melanated people, some Jews. But y'all need to understand who's who. All right, let me go into this real quick, and then I'm going to get into the baby, because I know somebody want to see, well, what about the child, the baby that's molested, and all? They are innocent. Okay, we'll get into that. Stay tuned. But when we're talking about melanated people, I need y'all to understand something. First of all, I told y'all, these Albions, they come from you. They are melanated people who have had the melanin grafted from them. They come from melanated people. They are you. They your children. Melanated folks. They your children. And you read anybody's history about light skin. Light is a recessive, meaning, you know, they'll use these pretty terms. Y'all pay attention now. I hope y'all taking notes. I told y'all when y'all see me, you need to be taking notes and pay attention. Take notes. Light skin. That's a recessive. They call it recessive gene, but y'all know what recessive really means. Recessive means genetically modified. And I'm not saying this to be dissing my light-skinned people, because I love my Albion peoples. Those my brothers and sisters. They my children. They your children. They come from melanated people. Somebody genetically modified the gene. They purposely tampered with the gene to take away the melanin in the skin. Now, I'm not going into why they did it, because we go into that in the session. I want to stick to this and understand who we are as spiritual entities. All right? The recessive is a genetically modified trait where somebody took these melanated people and they purposely took away their melanin. And melanin is, and I say melanin, really it's, they took away the copper or the ether, the darkness. Why would they do that? Because, you know, these whole vessels, they're hybrid. These are hybrid vessels, just so you know. They've been tampering with genes since the beginning of time. They've been tampering with genes. So then they tampered with the brown people because they couldn't do certain things with the brown people, but they found if we took out the melanin, well, we can do some other stuff with these light-skinned people over here. We can mix them with things that we can't mix these brown people with. Okay. So now you got these light-skinned beings. These are your children. So all this them and they and us, and them and you too. Now, some of y'all, so, yeah, we are Egyptian and we're going back to Africa and Kemet and we mother Africa. Africa, that's not where everything started. It's not. Let me tell y'all something. What y'all see is Africa, what they show on that little area over there, that is a snippet of what Africa used to be. All that over there used to be Africa. That so-called Middle East and that so-called China and all that, that was Africa. All that is Africa. And the original civilization started in what we know of as Mesopotamia. Y'all know Mesopotamia? Oh, y'all don't know? Oh, Iraq. That is Mesopotamia. That's where the first civilization is known. The first writing came from there. Not in what you know of, this little area is Africa. That's not where the civilization started. But that's what they want you to believe. Not to mention, when we're talking about pyramids, the pyramid of Giza, the pyramid of... Can y'all please do some research? Can y'all please do some research? And just look up mounds of America. Look up mounds of America. And then find out that they predate anything in Africa. What you know of, that little area y'all know of is Africa. The mounds in the pyramids, they call them mounds. The pyramids of America predate anything in Africa, so-called Africa. I need y'all to know that. Take notes. Go look it up for yourself. Don't believe me. Research it for yourself. So I'm saying all of this to help you understand that we all have been lied to, and information has been given to us in a backwards way. No. Africa, that what y'all know of as Africa, that's not the beginning. That's not the original place. And there's so much research that shows you and tells you that. I just gave you two. But if you keep doing any kind of research, you'll find out that that's not the truth. If we're talking about the original civilization or the oldest known civilization and the oldest known writing, that was in Iraq. If you're talking about mounds and pyramids and all that, well, the ones in America predate anything in what we know of as Africa. Not to mention that what you know of as Africa, it could not have sustained a beginning civilization because it didn't have no water. All the water's up there where Iraq is. It didn't have the topography to be able to handle that. So I'm saying to you, when we start doing our research, we ought to start understanding the lies. But now let me finish. Let me go on into this because I don't want to get deep into that. I'm going into history. But I need y'all to understand that there were melanated people who sailed. By the way, your Albions, they're not white. I don't call them white. They're Albions. All right. So your Albions, so-called white people, if you do any research and find anybody who's telling you about light skin, they're going to tell you 2,000 to 5,000 years. That's how long light skin has been around. 2,000 to 5,000 years. All right. That's important to understand because when you go back beyond that, you start recognizing, oh, wait, we dealing with dark-skinned people. Oh, we dealing with dark-skinned people. If we're talking about the time of Egyptian period, remember, there was the Egyptians who enslaved the Israelites. I'm going to say it again. There were the Egyptians who enslaved the Israelites. Those are two dark-skinned groups of people. And some of y'all talking about you Israelites, but then you sporting in Egyptian costumes. Well, which one are you? I'm trying to understand, and I'm trying to make sure we understand that those are two dark-skinned people, one who enslaved the other. Let's go back to this point in the Americas now. Let's move up in time. 1400s and on up. In the Americas, there were Indians, and these were brown, copper-colored people like myself. These were brown, copper-colored people like myself. And if you start talking about the Washita Moors, which are the oldest known people on the planet, they are known to the Americas. Washita Moors, M-U-U-R-S, not no M-O-O-R-S. We ain't talking about nothing coming from that other side right now, but M-U-U-R-S, where did the term come from? These are people who transitioned from the land known as Mu, M-U, or Lemuria, L-E-M-U-R-I-A, who transitioned into the land. These are the oldest known people on the planet. These were brown-skinned people with woolly hair, like my afro. All right. So you got to recognize these are some copper-colored people. They want to tell you that the Indians, they were long, stringy hair. No, those were the people who were mixed. We're going to get into that because I got time today. We're going into it. So we got these people from Lemuria who are in the land. Now, come to the 1400s, we're talking about a copper-colored people who are in the land. Who are these copper-colored people? Well, again, these are Washita, M-U-U-R-S, Moors. All right. So we got, you can find other tribes, known tribes, Khalifa tribe, of California. You've got your Amazon women of South America. They're all in the land. These are brown people. All right. So in comes another group of people, and they are melanated. Well, how we know? Who we talking about, Diva? Your so-called Europeans, those were dark-skinned people. Where were they coming from? Britain, Tunis, Algiers, Tripoli. Those were all dark people. And I need y'all to understand something. Anytime we're talking about royalty, we're talking about dark-skinned people. Okay, I don't care if you're talking about England, Scottish, who else got some royalty? France. All of the original royalty were brown people, dark-skinned people. And when you start talking about the British, those were dark-skinned people. The Queen of England was dark-skinned all the way up to the mid-1800s. She's melanated. She was melanated all the way up to the mid-1800s. And what happened is they started amalgamating or mixing with the albion and then removing the melanin from the skin. So now you got people over there, and we thinking, oh, it started with the albion, but they're not showing you. You got to do your research. You got to dig. They're not showing you that the original royalty was dark skin. When you start talking about King James, we know King James was melanated. Now we're seeing that. Well, who was King James? Well, he was in Britain. How he's melanated and the Queen ain't? Huh? Europe, a.k.a. Europa. Thank you. Thank you, Joe. Queen Europe is named after a melanated woman, Queen Europa. I mean, even when we can go so far, you talk about California, named after melanated women of the Khalifa tribe. That's where the name comes from. So I need y'all, I'm going through this because this is why y'all have to understand history, because I need to get back to why I say melanated people are not victims to the albion. The Europeans come in here. Once again, all of your Europeans, your original Europeans were dark-skinned people. British, Tunis, Algiers, Tripoli. These are melanated folks. And what was the big deal about these different countries? They were called pirate states. All right. And who was running them? Britain. Go and look up the Barbary Company. Who owned that? Britain owned the Barbary Company. Why is this important? I told y'all these are all melanated people. And what did they do? They were pirates. They were land-stealing thieves. They steal any and everything they could and try to bogart and take over anything. But as long as Britain was in the picture, Tunis, Algiers, Morocco, they weren't going to mess with Britain. They're not going to mess with British territory. Why? Because they was in bed together. They've been in bed together since the 1400s. All right. Y'all need to pay attention. These are melanated folks doing this. Now, I just told you all that they were pirates. Let me give you an idea of what was going on back then. I made it clear that these albions, so-called white people, are from melanated folks. They were, now, my research shows that your albion was created in what we know of as Argentina today. That's what my research shows. And that they were doing grafting on these, on melanated people, and grafting them, taking out and specifically tampering with the melanin in the skin to purposely create a lighter skinned being. In doing so, these beings were ill-mannered. They were, and they had a more difficult time with the typography. I don't know if y'all been to South America, but I was in Argentina, and even to this day, they'll shut down everything in the middle of the day. Like at 1 o'clock, everything shuts down. And then it won't open back up until 6 o'clock. I didn't understand this. I was like, what's going on? Why are they doing that? I need to get some lunch. And they said they shut down everything they call it Fiesta or something like that. But they shut it down at 1 and opened back up at 6. Somebody told me because it was too hot. And I don't know if y'all been to Argentina. It's all Albion down there. You don't find very many melanated people like myself. We make up less than 1% of the entire population of Argentina. And I'm talking about, when I say 1%, that includes Africans, that includes your melanated people from North America, Brazil, Colombia. All the melanated people together make up less than 1% of the people in that in Argentina. And that's another energy that I talked to you about, how the energy, it balances. Anyway, to continue, once the people were, these beings were created, according to my research, they were moved to another land, mountains where it was cooler, where they were out of the way and there weren't a lot of people, all right, to be by themselves. And so in doing that, they started to multiply in whatever those areas were. Well, then here comes these Europeans who are dark-skinned people and start kidnapping them. Morocco was one of the main people who was kidnapping these Albions from Sicily and where else? Ireland, and some of these other places where they had populated. They started kidnapping them, and then they were bringing them into the Americas as slaves. They were bringing some of them into Morocco as slaves and started selling them. All right. How did see y'all be so focused on, well, you know, how many slave ships and how many people, slaves they could have brought over, and what's the numbers and how they was going to be able to do. Y'all didn't ask the question, how so many of them get over here? We know they ain't from here. Because according to what the research is showing, the original people of the Americas dark skinned. Because as a matter of fact, the term Ameri means copper colored. Ika, I-K-A or I-C-A means land of the indigenous people. America means land of the copper colored people. So we know they ain't from here. How so? And before I go on, if y'all don't even, I don't buy that, because I ain't never heard America. I want you to go and Google American, 1824 dictionary. American, 1824 dictionary. And then you're going to find the true term of what American meant. It didn't have anything to do with Albions or light-skinned people. The term American had everything to do with copper-colored people. American means land of the copper-colored people. All right, we know they ain't from here. Why y'all didn't ask how so many of them get over here? Well, go back to the Barbary Treaties. Remember who owned the Barbary Company. Why did they need the Barbary Treaties? Because of the simple fact that America had gotten into the slave trade too, and they were bringing Albions into the land as well. See, this is why we got to go into the history, because y'all got to know who the true forefathers were. They want y'all to think they were Albion. No, they weren't. They tell you George Washington was first president. No, he wasn't. There was at least 6 presidents before him. And the vast majority were melanated. So if you're not understanding the history, you can't understand how we got to this point. Let me keep going so I can get to my point. This is what I'm talking about. I can't really get to you the spiritual side of this game if you don't know the history, because in your eyesight, black people is victim to the white man, and you don't know the history. You don't know what really happened. Melanated folk are the ones who brought the Albion into this land as slaves. The original slaves in this land were melanated. Nah, Diva, that don't even sound right. How the original slaves was melanated. Go look up slaves. Look up the etymology of the term slave. When you look up the etymology of the term slave, you'll find that it's derived from the term Slavic or Slovakian. Those were Albions. Those weren't melanated people. The original term slave, it was applied to Albions because they were the original slaves. Well, who brought them here? Melanated people. Your so-called Europeans. And why don't they want you to know? See, I need y'all to understand something. It ain't just the Albion. Rock says white tea washed everything. Listen up. It ain't just the Albion that's lying to you. There's some dark-skinned people who are very much lying to you. I want y'all to go and find out who was the Pope bowing down to and whose feet was he kissing. And why? Those weren't no Albions. It ain't just Albion people lying to you. And when you hear the term European, they want you to first think Albion. But it wasn't Albions that brought those people here. No, they were kidnapped as children and brought into this land as slaves. Oh, well, they was indentured servants. No. They was full-fledged slaves. Full-fledged slaves. Period. No indentured servants. They were slaves. That's why you need to know the true law. So they'll keep telling, well, they weren't. No, they were slaves. And what happened was a balance of energy. Pay attention now. Now we're going to get to it. Who brought them here? Melanated people brought them here as slaves. Enslaved them. And so y'all might be thinking, well, I want, because that was these people, these so-called Europeans, they were dark-skinned. And then you had another group of dark-skinned people already in the land. And they need y'all to know that these people coming from Africa and Tunis and Algiers and Tripoli and all this, they are the ones who enslaved the original people of this land. The original Indians or whatnot, they enslaved the original people of this land. But I need y'all to know the original people of this land had a lot to do with that slave trade as well. Go do your research. When you start talking about these 5 civilized tribes, what was they doing? They were taking on slaves too. The Albion. So then, when we start talking about energies, do energies get returned? Yes, they do. You cannot put out an energy and not expect it to come back. If you don't balance it, the universe gonna balance it for you. So when you see melanated people, they were enslaved. How long did the enslavement go? Because they want y'all to believe it was 400 years. But when you do your research, it wasn't even nowhere near 400. Because what you're going to understand, and here's another thing, a lot of this stuff is lies. People do their research and they find out, well, my family didn't have no enslavement. I get a lot of melanated people tell, well, my family didn't have no slaves. Well, I took the lineage all the way back. We didn't have any slaves. But then I started talking to my Albion people. And I can't tell you how many Albion, well, you know what? We had this family Bible. And in there, it showed that our family came over here as slaves. What? They have it in their family Bible. But we have just been told that we were, and we bought into the lie. All right? So I'm letting you know, when you do your own research, don't believe me. I just gave you enough information and tips for you to just go and Google it. What is the term slave? Where is it derived from? American. What does it really mean? Barbary treaties, Barbary company. Who owned it? Europeans. Who were they really? What was the Barbary treaties about? What was it about? It was about slaves being run in here. And what was happening is that the United States of America was warring with Britain. Britain brought in Morocco, and Morocco was putting a foot on the neck of the United States of America. And the United States of America was trying to bring these slaves in here. And because Morocco kept stealing their ships and seizing all of the cargo on their ships, the United States of America couldn't operate. So that's why they had to come up with the treaties. All right. And so what ends up happening is what you recognize is what was coming in as the cargo. It was slaves. That's what they were seizing, and that was a lot of money. Because listen, I need y'all to understand something. Again, they wouldn't keep bringing all of those slaves over here unless there were people buying them. Who was buying them? The original people. Melanated folks. The original copper-colored people, these 5 civilized tribes and whomever, they were involved in that enslavement. And on top of that, the other brown people who came over here, well, they were enslaving the original people themselves. They were enslaving. So this is why y'all got to know the history. Because I showed this as facts. We learn who was originally running the United States of America. Who is the United States? What is the difference between the two? You got to know the difference. There is a difference. And then you can start recognizing, when you start talking about, oh, it's the white man and the black man, and then you need to recognize, well, they were the original slave. The universe is going to balance. Well, I ain't had nothing to do with it, dude. I wasn't here in the 1500s. I told you. This is what I'm talking about, the spiritual side. You just think, I just popped up. I ain't had nothing to do with it back then. You are your ancestors. The same way your child, when your child is born, it's your twin. It is your past and your present. All right, it's the same thing when you are your ancestors. When my ancestor did that, I ain't had nothing to do with it. You are your ancestors. When you were born, you were the past being born and the future. Now, in recognizing that you are carrying whatever that karmic baggage was that went on back then, now you need to learn how to clean it up. This is why you start learning how to walk in the 5th, 6th, 7th dimension. Because you need to learn how to clean up this baggage back here. You have baggage. All of us do. And so when you get out of that victim state, oh, I'm a victim of the white man. And when you come out of that state, then you can start walking like a god. Let me see if I have any questions. Vibe says, I think I knew that. What did you think you know, Vibe? Tell me. Shaq says they had a war here. Who is they that had a war here? Queen, you got a question? Oh, she said, hey to everyone. I want to thank y'all for joining. Shaq says it starts an argument. What starts an argument? And I'm going to let you know, for me, I just want to give you the facts. That's all I'm getting. So there's no argument over the facts. I'm going to give you information so you can go and look it up. And then if it does not resonate, then fine. Come back and let's have a discussion. But don't knee jerk up in here when you don't have knowledge of what's going on. And then you just want to knee jerk and say, hey, I don't believe this. We don't talk about beliefs up in here. We're talking about what the facts are. That's the only thing that matters here. Because as long as we go on the facts, everything that we say, we know that we can build on it. Because it's just facts. Crunchy. Thank you for joining, Crunchy. Vibe 9000 says 1924 definition of America. Yes. And when you look up that definition, what you're going to find is it'll tell you that the term originally was applied to melanated people, copper-colored people, your original people of the land, and then Albions came in and start taking on the name. All right, and I want y'all to remember the term European. It does not have anything to do with light skin. Y'all remember the original Europeans were dark-skinned people. Brutish Moors before it was British. Yes, Brutish Moors, who were known to be very brutal to the slaves they were bringing in. And Darnell says, we are prisoners of war. Well, Darnell, we're showing you how to get out of being a prisoner and stand under your own jurisdiction. That's what we deal with in the university. They just moved in where we was from the beginning. Okay, so let me see what else. And if y'all have any other comments or questions, I want y'all to ask them, and then I'm going to finish up with as I talk about the child, and how the child that's born and abused and molested or what have you is not a victim. So I just helped you understand, and I hope from that presentation that I just gave, you understand why melanated people are not a victim to the so-called whitey or the white man. No, he was a slave first. And the universe has to balance energies. That's what she's going to do. If you put out an energy, you're going to receive it back. So now again, my purpose here is to help you to understand the laws that have been hidden from us so that you can correct your own energies and start creating the dimension that you desire. All right? Vibe says, this is good ideas at work. Thank you, Vibe. I'm glad to have you in the room. Mystic, we are a spanning of our ancestors, the seed passed down. Thank you, Mystic. That's correct. Darnell says, right. Thank you. Alvin, thank you for joining. Great job. Okay. Mr. Augie says, we are victim to not reading. That's true. That's true, because we don't read enough. That makes us stand in a point of victimhood. And I'm telling you, you got to come out of that. When we start recognizing what this dimension is, then we can start building it and making it what we desire. Again, talking about walking in the 5th, 6th, 7th dimension. Shaq says, by doing that, right? By doing what, Shaq? Help me understand what you're saying. Thank you for the heart, Mr. Augie. And Queen, thank you for joining. All right, let me go into this. All right, so you've heard me speak about how the child is not a victim. And I want to thank you all. I want y'all to know I really do love you and appreciate you. I've been gone. I've been missing out because I had a whole bunch of work. When I tell you all, that we do things that accountants and judges, lawyers don't know, I really do mean that. And so this season I was working, helping my students with their taxes and what have you, and write off cars and houses and all this other stuff. And it's a lot of work. It is a lot of work. It ended up becoming a whole other business that but we'll figure that out. We'll learn to work that so that I can get all my students taken care of and everybody, start up clientele who wants to be able. But right now I really just deal with my students because my students know the game, they know the deal, and they know what to do and to expect. So, all right, with that being said, I want to go into recognizing, again, what the child is and why it is not a victim. All right, this is very important. And I'm very thankful to this room on TikTok and YouTube because I deal with people who have a high level of intelligence. You all do your own studying and research, and this is why you're able to hear this information. I'm appreciative for you because 5 years ago, 6 years ago, I couldn't speak on this without somebody having issues or it causing a problem or whatever. But the fact that, I have even 2 people who are willing to hear and listen, that lets me know that we're in a whole nother dimension right now. So I'm very thankful to that. I'm thankful to you. Thank you for being my reflection of intelligence and knowledge. I love you. Thank you. So let me get on this. Earlier I spoke about how when the vessel expires, the spiritual entity continues, all right? And these are the things that we're not told, we're not taught. We should know this when we're coming up as a child. We should know this because if you know this, then you can walk as a God. And I won't go into that on this session, but when you really know that these laws as a child, then you learn how to get your vibratory frequency and manipulate it so that you can bring whatever into your dimension you desire. All right. So when the body expires, the spiritual entity continues. It goes on and on and on. Now, with that being said, all right, with that being said, when there is a child, we've already spoke about how that child is an old spirit coming back in a new vessel. Why, Diva, do you say this child is not a victim if it's coming in here and it's being abused and it's being assaulted and it's coming into these parents that are this, and this? All right. Let's look at a situation where someone, let's say there's the priest. I always use this example. We know about what's going on in a lot of these churches, mainly Catholic Church. This has been going on for centuries. All right, centuries. We can go back and see when we look at the term apprentice. Is it apprentice? But one of these terms, it literally means, like agape. That's another one where a man takes on a child as their apprentice or mentorship. And back then, it meant that there was something sexual going on in that relationship between that adult and that child. All right. So now you got a church, and this priest is molesting any and every child that he thinks he's big and bad enough to molest. And then that priest never goes to jail, never gets caught, nobody says anything. But does he get away with doing harm to those children? Does he get away with it? Well, not here. Universal law is going to balance everything. Universal law is going to balance everything. Even you think he dies and nothing happens to him. That's not how the universe works. He's got to get a return of those energies. That's what we're talking about. His vessel might expire, but he got to come back up in here. And what is he coming back up in here as? He ain't going to jump in and ta-da! I'm a grown man. Give me my punishment. That's not how that works. That is not how that works. When he comes back, the best punishment for him is to make him feel the energy and the hell that he put those children through. He got to feel it. And how's he going to get it? As a child that comes back to a mother that allows that child to be in a situation where it gets molested. See, I don't even know. Listen, think about this. Why is the Catholic Church still going? How does this happen for centuries? Listen up. All a woman has to do is to be... C. Smith, thank you for joining. I'm excited. And Terry says, Halo, thank you, Terry and C. Smith. I'm excited. I can't wait to start school, too. So we're starting on the 16th of April, so y'all get ready for the new season. But getting back to this, how does a church go on for centuries where there are children being abused when all the woman has to say is, I'm leaving? Only thing has to happen is she say, I'm not having this. I'm leaving. You won't be molesting not another child. And then that's it. That is done with. When the woman says no, it's done. But she's not going to do that. She is purposely in whatever sleep she's in. She's in whatever funk she's in. She's in whatever ignorance she's in on purpose. Because that being coming back into that child's vessel has to experience the same energy that he put out on this side. That is the universe balancing itself. You don't get away with anything. Nothing. So it's important to recognize when you see a child, because a lot of people think, well, it's an innocent child. It just got here. No, it didn't. No, it didn't. As I told you, your ancestors, just like that child is its ancestors. It's got to deal with the energy that it put out in another time. Remember, I told you, just like this vessel is a contract. My hair, my skin, my eyes, my 2 arms, my 2 feet, my 10 toes, all of that is a contract. And it's dealing with whatever energies I put out in the past. Also, everything that's happening in my 3rd dimension is a contract. It's happening because of the energies I put out in another time. So the same thing that's going on with me and you and our energies that's going on is the same thing with that child. That child is coming back. It's coming back from the cosmos. It's coming back from the cosmos. Thank you, Mr. Augie, for the love. Thank you for all those roses. You trying to make me buy you dinner? I'm going to buy you dinner. Yes, I am. All right. So I want y'all to understand that there are no victims. There are no victims, not even the child, because y'all think that, oh, it's new. Boy, it's not new. It's an old spirit. It did some creating before it got here. It's got some baggage. So whatever energies that it's got coming in here, whatever's going on with his vessel that it's got coming in here, it comes from a past lifetime. All right. I want to know if I got any comments or questions, any disagreements. Queen says centuries. That's right. That's been going on for centuries. Why? That's an energy. So you can't just leave. This is why y'all hear people telling you, well, you better do good before you die, or otherwise you're going to go to hell. What? This is your hell. Or this is your heaven. This is your hell or your heaven. If you are in this situation and everything that's going on for you is frustrating, you can't get money, your job, you hate your job, your family is giving you hell, you can't stand your husband or whatever, that has to do with you and what energies you put out. You start putting out love. See, this is why self-mastery is important, because everything starts within. Everything. So all this stuff in your third dimension is only a reflection of what's going on within you. If you want to change this out here, change you in here, and everything outside has to be in alignment with you in here. Everything. So that's very important. Thank you, Mr. Argy says you're speaking the cosmic depth. Yeah. So once we come into alignment with self, this is why I tell people this history of self-mastery is required. You don't get out of our university without history of self-mastery. It's required, because when you start getting these powerful tools, you better have self-mastery. You better understand how you are controlling all of this, because if you think you are a victim and somebody do something to you and you want to get some get back, and as soon as you get some get back, you destroy them. Look. You know how people talk about get away with murder? You can do it, but you're not going to get away with it. Now, the people here in this dimension, you might be able to get past them in their eyes, but the universe sees everything. The universe sees everything. So you go ahead and be mad at somebody and you take them out. Well, didn't nobody see me. You know, shoot, I got away with it. Okay, that's what you think. And then you get up out of here and you come back as another being and you get the energies that you put out. And people be wondering, well, why that baby wasn't but 5 years old and he ain't do nothing, and they don't understand and you don't understand. Well, why? What did you do in the previous lifetime? I know this is hard and this is heavy information, but you got to remember the universe is always watching, always. You do not get away with nothing. And when I'm going to take this to my grave. Okay, go to your grave. It's going to be here for you when you come back in your crib. Anybody got any comments? Any questions, any thoughts? Mr. Augie, I need to buy you dinner. Thank you for the roses. Anybody got any comments before I get out of here? All my people in YouTube land, I want y'all to know I love you. Thank you so much for joining. Jay Darnell, C. Smith, Terry. All right. Anybody got any comments? Thank you for sharing the live. Mr. E.L. L. Shoe Games. Becoming a God. T.A. Boss, thank you so much for that. You know what? When I was first coming into knowledge of this information, I created this folder on my hard drive, and I called it Becoming a God. And in there I will put all of my information, like anybody ever heard of Black Roots Science? It's a PDF, Black Roots Science. I put that in there because it talked a lot about becoming a God. And so as I got to this, more and more into this, now, and I lost my hard drives or whatever. Now I created another folder, and it's called Being a God. Being a God. Because we are. All of you are. And a lot of people have a hard time recognizing that. And that's good. Then you don't need to have any powers. But when you're willing to recognize that you are a God, and you're willing to be responsible for the powers that you have, then that's when you deserve all the powers that are coming to you. And I'm letting you know, all of you out there, this is a shift in this dimension. And those of you all who can hear this information, congratulations. Congratulations. You have arrived. Now you can walk on into this new dimension and learn how to walk in that 5th, 6th, 7th dimension, and then control whatever you want in this dimension. Those are powers. Those are powers that you have coming to you. But if you don't know how to control yourself, if you don't have self-mastery, you will destroy yourself. You're going to get it, and then you're going to lose it right away. You're going to get it. Oh, everybody's going to get it. But if you don't have knowledge of self, you won't be able to hold on to it. All right. Queen says, nice to meet you. Nice to meet you, Queen. Thank you so much for joining. Darnell says this type of information is empowering. Thank you, Darnell. Listen, this is a great time. This is an exciting time, and I know it's scary for some people. It's scary because they don't have knowledge, but you have knowledge. Only thing you need to do is right here. Get the frequency in order so you can walk in the 5th, 6th, and 7th dimension, and this is going to be so much fun. You're going to walk like the God that you are. Jay Harmaine says, do we move on once we get it right? Thank you, Jay Harmaine. You move to another level where you become the creator of your universe. All right. Right now, we got to learn how to be in control of our actions, our thoughts, and our beliefs. And once you do that, then you go on and start creating, first of all, your own third dimension. It's like, oh, okay, I can get this, I can get this. You start acting like the God that you are. And then you start creating your own universe. You really start creating your own universe. Listen, you know how they say there's nothing under the sun? And see, this is when I go into understanding what imagination is and how important it is. See, whomever it was that brought us into these schools, they beat the imagination out of us, but that's where the real world is, in your imagination. They want you to think the imagination that's silly, that's childish, that's where the real world is. And we got to get back to the imagination. So once you get back to being able to allow yourself to see with this eye right here, not these carnal eyes, because these are really blind. Right here, that's where the real vision is. That's where the real world is. That's where the now is. So once you get back to seeing from this point, then you start creating universes. I mean, when I say you do things that gods do. All right, we have fallen from that because of whatever energies we put out. Remember, everything that you're seeing is your own energy. You put yourself here. It ain't the white man's fault. It ain't your ancestors' fault. No, it's you, the spiritual entity. You can fix it. You can fix it right here, right now, just by fixing yourself on the inside. All right. But yeah, once you get that, you move on and you start creating your own universe. I mean, it's going to be just fun within the next few years, you creating your own third dimension. What does that mean? Okay, you know what? I want this car. Whatever kind of car you've always wanted. And you see yourself get it just like that because you thought it. Oh, I want this house right here, right here, right here. Boom. And it's there because you thought it. That's what I'm talking about. That's going to be fun just watching that happen. But beyond that, above and beyond that, this is where you get to create your own universe. That's a whole nother level. We're talking way beyond fifth, sixth, seventh dimension. All right. But just, right there, I'll start right there because we can go deep. Thank you, Nolan, for adding us on YouTube. I really do appreciate it. Queen, very, very, very much a pleasure to meet you. Tom says, what does the verses written in 1452 have to say about Africans? I don't know. I've heard of that, and I think I probably read it once or twice, but I can't think off the top of my head what it says about Africans. Why don't you tell us, enlighten us, and then we'll go through it right here. Can I get dinner too? T.A. Boss, my friend gave me all those roses. I like to give dinner to people sometimes who show me love. Tom says, United Nations. All right, thank you, Tom. Hold on for a second. Hold on. Normally I don't, I love everybody who comes in, but sometimes I get people who I need to who I need to go into it. All right. Who else? Let's see. Hold on. But not knowing the Indians is us. Shaking my head. Oh, Darnell, I've been to about the doctrine of discovery in 2016. Darnell, so now when we talk about Indians is us, all right. And I want to be clear on who us is, because you got to remember, when those Europeans, which were dark people coming from Morocco, Tunis, Algiers, and all of that, and even Britain, those were melanated people. And they came in and they slept with everything moving. They didn't care if it had 2 legs, it might have 4 legs. They were sleeping with everything. And so when you say us, and remember, there were some Albions in here too, sleeping with everything. The Moors were sleeping with all of them, and Indians, and so-called Indians, the original people. We all mixed up. So when you say us and them and they and them, the original Indians were copper-colored people. Yes, they were. But remember, you got some of them in you too. When I say them, I'm talking about the people from Morocco. When I say them, I'm also talking about the Albion. By the way, thank you for bringing that up, because I want y'all to know, a lot of y'all be so quick to want to align yourself with Egyptians and Africans and all of this other stuff. Okay. I want y'all to understand, you more closely related, some of y'all are straight from Africa. That's the but y'all people who are original people of the Americas, some of y'all are more closer related to the Albion than you ever were the Egyptian. I need you to understand that. So when you talk about family and this and that and that, I want y'all to understand, some of y'all, look, the Albion came from melanated people. The Albion came from melanated people. And when you're talking about, if you're talking about the Hamitic African or the so-called Egyptian or whatever you want to call them, Ham, Shem, Japheth, if y'all don't know who those lineages are, go look them up. Yes, they're biblical terms. Yes, they're biblical terms. But when you start talking about like your Shem, a lot of these people talking about they Israelites or whatever, you're talking about you an Israelite, then you are not closely related to your Hamites. I mean, y'all are related, but y'all distant relatives. And then when you start talking about the Albion, they came from the copper colored people. We don't know if they came from the Indians or the Hamitic people. But I need y'all to know that there are different people. Just because we all brown skin doesn't mean we the same people. That being said, I need y'all to understand, as I told you, your ancestors, you are ancestor. You are your ancestors. And so with that being said, while I'm bringing this up, I need y'all to pay attention. Pay attention. Pay attention. All right. Here's the deal. In the Bible, it tells you that when we're talking about the Israelites, and yeah, I'm bringing up the Bible because the Bible, as I told, I don't want to go into that because that'd be a long story. But I'm bringing up the Bible because y'all need to recognize this. One moment. I need to get something to drink before I... Okay. Now, in the Bible, it talks about a group of people, the Israelites, who every nation would come up against the Israelites. Pay attention now. Pay attention. The Israelites were a group of people who had all of these special skills and talents. And the other nations were supposedly jealous of this group of Israelites. And in the book, it says that every other nation, the Hamites and the, Hashem, Japheth's people, will come against them. But it wasn't just the Hamites and Japheth. Inside of that lineage called Shem, you had all kind of other ites. You had the Israelites, the Moabites, the Canaanites, and all these other ites in here. But it was the Israelites that was supposedly that chosen group, those 12 tribes. And the book says that everybody outside, all of the nations outside of those 12 tribes will come against that 12 tribe. And here's the thing, those other groups were dark skinned. Drink on that. Those other groups were dark skinned. And why is that a big deal? Because y'all got to understand, again, just because somebody looks like you or your skin color does not mean they are for you. And it doesn't have anything to do with them even doing it on purpose. It might just be in their genes to fight against you. It might just be in their genes to fight against you. It's not about what they look like, because remember, the Israelites and the Moabites, they relatives, they're cousins. They might look just alike. But the book said these Moabites are supposed to fight against these Israelites. They look alike, but that don't mean they fought each other. They fighting against each other. That's what the book said. And so it's not about, stop the racism. I'm letting you know, thank you, MSB, because this is what I'm saying to you is it's not about the color of somebody's skin. You got to get to know who they are on a character basis. Who are they on the inside? Because just because they look like you doesn't mean they're for you. And just because they don't look like you, they Albions, they'll be the ones ready to give their life for you. I'm not the only one that has experienced an Albion, so-called white person, who ran to their rescue when they were in need. We've all experienced that. There's media out here that's getting you to dislike somebody because of the color of their skin, and as long as they can keep that battle going, then fine. What I'm introducing to you is the fact that you have to get to know someone's character, who they are on the inside, because just because they look like you doesn't mean they're for you, and just because they don't look like you doesn't mean they're against you. Right now, we're talking about the content of your character. I'm going back to this. Are you kind? Do you have compassion and love? Do you have honesty, integrity, and respect? Those are the people who you want to deal with. And the only way you get those people to come into your life is when you have in yourself. Because if you're attracting people who are other than that, they're reflecting you. But if you have kindness, compassion, and you show love, you have honesty, you operate out of honesty, integrity, respect. Those people who will show up in your third dimension. All right? I hope y'all getting that. Does anybody have any comments or questions or disagreements? If you do, I want to talk to you. I want to hear from you because I'm ready to get out of here. True. Thank you for joining. Jay Harmaine says, I try to change, but not. Jay Harmaine, when you change you, and I do consultations with people, and I help them to come into a balance within, because they'll be coming to me, oh, my mother is this way, and my children are this way, and my this is this way. And then when we work on getting their harmony on the inside together, they start writing me back and they're amazed. Oh my goodness, this just happened. I never would have thought if I just did this with myself, I meditated and I did all these other things. That's it. Change you, and everybody else does not have a choice but to change. All right. Now, y'all remember, we're starting back up the university. What do we deal with? Law, all laws. We deal with mainly the universal law, which I've been going into here today. I'm going to get into some natural law probably tomorrow, because I'm going to try to make sure I post for the next 3 days, because I've been busy. So if y'all want to register, join. Make sure you can go to UNARepublic. UNARepublic.com. So we have two websites, UNARepublic.com for the university side. Get a free enrollment, all right, so we can have a consultation with you, find out if this is for you, good for UNA, because you gotta have those 6 attributes. You gotta have the 6 attributes. You gotta, be kind, all right, compassionate, loving, honesty, integrity, and respect. So anyway, go and register, or enroll rather, sign up to be enrolled at UNAUniversity.com. We have 3 sessions this season starting on April 16th. We have a back to basics that's going to be on Sundays from April 16th, 8 weeks out. All right. We got history and self-mastery. Starting April 17th, going 8 weeks out. And then we have business asset management, all right, and that's going to go 8 weeks out starting on the 19th. So we're going to have some great sessions. I am so excited. Listen, if you were able to hear this message, congratulations, you have arrived. Congratulations, you have arrived. I love you. I thank you so much for being able to hear it. Again, 5 years ago, I couldn't say this stuff to anybody. Nobody could hear it. Y'all are hearing it. That's because you are awakening and you have the ability to hear. So congratulations, you have arrived. All right, let's get to this thing. I want y'all to please send a message in the inbox if you want to join us. If you have any questions or comments, send a message and we'll be glad to get to them. And then let me see something. Let me see if I have any questions before I get out of here. Chrissy says, how about mushrooms? What kind of mushrooms? You trying to have a trip? I don't know nothing about that. I only do natural stuff. The strongest thing I drink is water. That's it. Jay Harmaine, thank you for joining. Cushy Nathan, Dennis, Vibe, thank you all for joining. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for liking. Thank you for loving. My people in YouTube, Terry, I appreciate you. C. Smith, D. Darnell, and all my people who joined me here. I love y'all. I'm out. Bye. Bye. Bye.